Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on using the color vowel chart and the color vowel approach to teach English as a second or foreign language. I'm Karen Taylor. I'm the creator of the chart, along with my co-author, Shirley Thompson. We've been doing this for a while, over 20 years now, and I'm just really excited to share with you what we have to offer you as a teacher of English, whether you work with adults, which seems to be the main audience of this group, or if you work with young learners, which some of you do, and just know that what I'll be sharing with you has been adopted and adapted for different audiences, including first language, early readers, choral directors working with choirs, all kinds of folks who work with sound in one way or another. But my focus today is on you teaching English and working with your learners who are doing their best to be confident speakers of English. Okay. I'm going to give you a presentation, PowerPoint-based kind of thing with some visual information. Please feel free to write your comments and your questions in the chat. Having Jennifer in the room is a real asset because she'll answer your questions in real time, and she'll raise any questions that sort of seem especially relevant in the moment for me to take on. So all those questions, any of those little noisy thoughts you have, feel free to put them down. It doesn't mean it'll be interrupting necessarily. It just kind of gets it out there so we know what's on your mind. Okay. And you can take right now that moment just to, if you jot down something that you hope to take away before the end of our hour together, then I can be sure to address that as well. Wonderful. I'll go ahead and start sharing. All right. There we go. All righty. So let's talk about teaching English with the color vowel chart and Blue Canoe. If you're not sure about Blue Canoe, my graphic here is kind of helpful, I think. The color vowel chart is this item on the bottom with all the colors. And then Blue Canoe is our app, which is made for learners. It's a learner app that creates opportunities for daily practice. I'm going to talk a lot about practice today. And if I don't say the word, I'll be surprised, because I think what learners often lack is a way to operationalize what they learn, right? So we can teach and they can learn, but when do they really get to practice spoken English for an eye on accuracy, right? And so I'm very interested in that. We'll talk about that today, in addition to your questions. The color vowel approach, just to lay down some terminology for you. And can everybody see my full screen okay? Do you have anything covering anything that I should know about? Looks good. Thumbs up from Ana Lydia. You're the only person I can see a face of right now. Okay, there we go.
It's good.
Great. Yeah. All right. So the color vowel approach, when I talk about color vowel, it is a thing. It's this chart, but it's also a set of brain-based strategies that rewire the language brain. We use the body. We harness parts of the brain that are not linguistic. We work with other parts of the brain that I'll share with you, but it is this set of strategies in addition to the object you look at and touch and use. We focus on stress and vowel sounds in spoken English. Those receive the highest priority because that's actually how we understand one another. If you think of what I'm doing right now as this very strange, blah, 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 you know, I'm moving my mouth around. How do you understand me? We speak the same language. What does that mean to speak the same language? And how is it that I'm mutually comprehensible to you and vice versa? Okay. We focus in on that, which is stress and the vowel sounds in those peak moments. Okay. We've been doing this for over 20 years with over 1 million users around the world. We work with some wonderful partners, including Blue Canoe, the Washington Literacy Center, which is one of our pilot centers here in Washington, D.C. when I'm over there, and my there is here. We've worked with Peace Corps to develop their TEFL training curriculum. Intercommune Uniting Communities is a wonderful program based out of Boulder that has a full spectrum curriculum and textbook series that features the color vowel chart. And we work with the Office of English Language Programs in the State Department that supports English language officers around the world and foreign language teachers of English around the world. So we have a pretty broad reach. Blue Canoe, once again, is our mobile app. It works on phones and it works on tablets. Your students, if you work with anybody over about age 14, 15, and definitely with adults, this is for them. It combines voice recognition with artificial intelligence to provide color vowel feedback so that the feedback they get on the app is similar to the feedback you'll provide them in the classroom when you use the color vowel approach. That's pretty neat when they get all that wraparound, same way of thinking about English in class and outside of class. We provide pronunciation lessons, games, videos, quizzes, and the very powerful color vowel dictionary. Okay. Before we move forward, though, I think it's important to talk about who's English. I don't know if you've ever been asked a question like this, but as an English teacher, you probably have, like I have, do you teach American English or British English? Or, like there are only two flavors of ice cream. Do you, Ana Lidia, you're in, you work with a lot of Brazilians and you're Brazilian. That must come up quite often. Is this a British English school or an American English school? Are those
Always.
questions common?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah. And yet, can we just, without having to talk at great length, can we agree that if you were speaking British English with me, I may not really know that, and I would just think of it as English, and vice versa? Yeah. So it's not like, let me turn on the British English switch and, then we'll all know. We're all speaking English, and there are some accent differences, but we can actually think about these flavors in a different way. So everybody has an accent, every one of us and all of our students and everyone in the world, and it's all influenced by where we live and who we interact with. And so we're really going to break down of this notion of, a this or that kind of approach, and instead think of speakers of English, both native and non-native, in the same room with the same objectives, which is to communicate. So we focus on this mutual comprehensibility, not how so much our accents are different, but what unites our accents into this mutual place. And if you know of other language groups, that they're not necessarily mutually comprehensible. There are many forms of, what we call Chinese, for example, that are not mutually comprehensible when they're spoken. Similar with Arabic around the Arab speaking world. So we have something special going on with English, and we can find these common intersections. That way. All right, I got a little heady there, so I'm going to get concrete. What do learners need? This is a new graphic. I was searching for something just perfect for the metaphor I have in mind here. And I think someone in the room works with younger learners. If you've ever heard of the stream of speech, that's a pretty common linguistic term to describe, in a sense, the experience that learners have as speech flows by. And if they have enough phonemic awareness, enough sound awareness, they know where one word begins and the other ends and so forth. So they know how to hear the stream of speech, and they know how to cut it up into its component parts because their brain does that for them. And when they don't have enough English phonemic awareness, they can't do that. Just as if we were listening to a language that's new to all of us, let's just imagine, Mongolian, it would swim by, even if we knew 5 words, I'm not sure we could pick them out of a sentence featuring those words, right? So we're looking for ways to provide learners with a way to organize the stream of speech. How can we help them organize what they hear? How can we help them organize what we hear? And it's really different from looking at the words on paper. The way a word sounds, especially in a full sentence, the way a sentence sounds is different, okay? So we also need ways and routines for them to practice the rhythm of English. I'm reading a wonderful book right now about how basically rhythm is very hardwired in the primal brain. It's what tells us we're safe, is when the rhythm of the other person we're speaking to matches the kind of rhythm that we use. And we are very sensitive to this in English, as in all languages in their own respects. So learners not only need to know that the rhythm is particular and that it works in a certain way, they need to practice it a lot so that they can switch between the rhythm of their language and the rhythm of English to be accepted and understood. They also need opportunities, structured opportunities, to be curious about English, to be their own special kind of practical linguist with respect to their own learning. If you've ever been wondering, when will they start asking questions about English? we have to provide those opportunities with a certain amount of structure. And I love, being able to say with 100%, excitement that Color Vowel provides them with this foundation for asking good questions about how English works in speech and in writing. Okay. So those are my little stepstones getting across the river. What are the stepstones that students currently use? When there isn't anything in place, we'll go to what we can drudge up. Okay, so here's ah. This is a sound ah. It's a sound found in Spanish. It's a sound found in Portuguese. It's found in Japanese. I'm going to use kind of a Spanish model for a minute and just imagine what the stepping stones are of the Spanish speaking English learner. They'll have 5 vowel stepstones, a, e, o, and u. So these are the 5 sounds that they produce in mixture with consonants, of course. And these are the 5 vowel sounds they perceive. This is really important, meaning for all of the other sounds, say the I of big or the of bus, those sounds are not represented among these 5, a, e, o, u. And so big becomes big, like E, and bus becomes bus, like U. And in that way, part of this, the notion of accent comes into play, right? Because they're playing with 5 vowel sounds and we have more. So what happens when we have more? These are the more. These are the vowel sounds of English, and we've represented them in the color vowel chart here. I'll introduce you to all of the sounds in just a moment. But right now, what I want you to notice is the overlay. This is what a Spanish speaker experiences when they hear the E sound in green tea or the I sound in silver and pin. Both of those sounds are one sound in Spanish, E, E. The same as with A, whether it's red pepper, or gray day, A. Both of those are E, ah. It straddles 3 different sounds. O is actually, it's kind of a really interesting vowel sound. It straddles a whole bunch. And then U. So whether they're hearing an English speaker say a green sound or a silver sound, and again, I'll take you in there just a moment. They're categorizing these into smaller cubby holes, if you will. And this limits both the perception and the production. And then they know that they're not hearing everything. And then you're going to have reduced confidence. Okay, so confidence goes hand in hand with knowing what you're supposed to hear, trying to stretch toward that, and then knowing how English works. Let's look at the color vowel chart just a little more closely. Okay, I'm going to present you with an image, and it's going to represent a sound. I find that learners can learn these within minutes. And what's lovely about the chart is that when you have it in the room, it's there to reinforce constantly. So there's very little memorization going on here. It's all mnemonic and iconic. Mnemonic because the word green and tea contain the E sound. So this is green tea and it is E. The next sound is silver pin. And if you can hear both of those words, I is the key sound there. Okay. If you will, do what I do now. Gray day A. You can try that. Gray
day A.
Great. And you can kind of experience that. Did you hear that assonance? The A. Yeah. That experience is a bit of repetition that starts to attract a musical noticing. So we can name this a gray day sound. Okay. This is red pepper, representing what sound? Can anyone pull it out? Red pepper.
Red.
Exactly. Try this one. Black cat. Great. Olive sock. Good. Auburn dog. Good. Turquoise toy. Oi. Yep. We're just pulling it out, right? Orange door. Or. Rose boat. Wooden hook. Blue moon. Great. Here in the middle, a cup of mustard. Purple shirt. Great. Notice how I can assess you in real time. If your sound matches the sounds in my first two words, I know that you could hear it and pull it out. Not just hear it, but perceive it. I should be more specific. Okay. Brown, cow,
Ow.
ow, good. And white, tie,
I.
great. These are the 16 sounds of English, vowel sounds of English, minus all of the R controls, which we can talk about another time, but we do address them, okay? But we try to keep this down to a pretty simple visual tool. Notice it's pretty symmetrical. Notice, that there isn't too much, we could manage it. And it's also organized in a couple of other ways that we'll talk about later, but we keep it to a level of simplicity that learners can look at and grapple with without being overwhelmed. And this actually looks pretty busy. We have a simpler version you'll see shortly, okay, right here. So this is the color vowel chart itself. We do have versions that have the images superimposed on it, but I like the simple color vowel chart because it allows students to take in what is there and ask questions. And then later on, we can add whether it's the iconic images or keywords that we want to add and so forth. So this is the object. On the left here is what we use in Blue Canoe with those images I just introduced you to. Okay, so there are a couple ways to experience and identify vowel sounds. All of this bypassing the need for phonetic symbols. Okay, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle solved now without having to go back and teach IPA. Teach, which symbol, it looks like an I, but it sounds like a different sound. Anybody have strong feelings about IPA or phonetic symbols? You can write that down in the chat. But this bypasses this, and it also keeps us from having to write them. I think that's really important. I can say, for example, just looking at the chart here, teacher, that would be a green T word because teacher has that stressed vowel sound that's E. We call that a green word. What about student? Student. Student.
Wooden hook.
Good. If it were wooden, I'll put my mouse on this. If it were wooden, it would be student. And I say student. Wooden hook is student. So what color? Student. Think close by, very close.
Ooh, blue moon.
Exactly.
Blue
Moon,
yeah.
student, exactly. And so that was beautiful, Ana Lidia, because they are very close to one another. And in your mind, you might think, well, then what's the difference? And that's a key question we teach learners to ask, that curiosity piece, right? What's the difference between blue and wooden? And now I can model ooh, ooh, and you can see a difference. And there's some other ways we can experience that difference. Okay, great. Student, what about study? Study. Notice it's not study. That would be a green word, not a word of English. Study. Study.
Cup of mustard.
That's right. That is a mustard word. A cup of mustard, study. Very good. Okay, so you get the idea now that we can take multi-syllable words and we can say, well, where's the stress and what color is it? Let's look at this a little more closely. In this video clip you're about to see, this is a real teaching clip, and you know it's real because you're looking at it upside down, as we do as teachers, right? Our own tables. And so this is a teacher named Liz Bigler. She'll be teaching this student. This is a middle schooler from Japan studying in Georgia, and he's working through some vocabulary homework, including this word that I have in large print here. He's about to mispronounce it. It's right at the beginning of the clip, and it gets a little bit better audio as he goes through a couple more words. So listen to this, see what he does, and then notice what Liz, the teacher, does to guide him. She's not going to correct him exactly, but she's going to guide him, and there are going to be some pretty interesting results here. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody just for the sake of the sound here. There we go. All right.
And she could hear the impatience in her voice downstairs.
Okay, what if I tell you that this word is gray day.
Gray day
Mm-hmm.
is patience.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe this many people were here to see her. She was a novice.
Which one?
Novice.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you that it's an olive sock word. Olive sock.
All sock. Novice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Most new performers never had this large of a
What's this word?
crowd.
That word is brown cow.
Crowd.
Yep.
Right. Interesting, right? Any thoughts about that? I mean, any reactions? It always blows me away. I watch it about once a month. But I'd love to know any responses you have to that. It's pretty elegant, right? She didn't have to say, no, 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 it's not novice, it's novice. And by giving him the cue, he's able to apply it and self-correct. Okay. I want you just to know for this particular lesson that he actually understood the meanings of these words very well. He did very well with the actual activity, the vocabulary activity. But those 3 words were clearly not words of his yet. He didn't know how to say them yet. And so now he's one step closer. Okay. I'll take that as a stop. We'll move forward. So let's take those 3 words: novice, impatience, and crowd. Probably 3 words you may never have really thought of as being particularly hard to say. Maybe novice, it's kind of, high level word. But he said impatience, totally viable idea. It's just not how we say it. And crowed, there's a very easy, you just take the D off and it's crow. You put a D on there and it's crowd. So it's interesting how it changes even with the addition of one consonant. What you're looking at here is our color vowel dictionary. So this same learner could then go back to Blue Canoe in his phone and look those words up again at the end of the day in doing his homework. You could also, learners do this during class when they're looking up words related to a small speech they're about to give or a small presentation. It's a way for them to know how words sound before they make the mistake or as they're learning how to say the word. So it's all color coded, and we use a very simple markup system in the color vowel approach, which is to underline the stressed vowel letter or letters. In the case of crowd, W is behaving as part of the vowel sound. Okay. Very simple markup allows learners to do this markup, and later on we're able to explore spelling patterns and take a kind of flipped approach to spelling. And so we really kind of we flip the order from going from letter to sound, which is the phonics way, to going from sound to letter, which is the color vowel way. And they complement each other, by the way. Okay. I wanted to just touch a little bit more on words and what we mean by the color vowel of a word. Look at these 3 words and try to use the eyes of an English learner for a moment. Just looking at these words, we can see basically, okay, same, 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 different, different on these 2 little suffixes, right? And with that kind of logic, you say, well, this is photograph, this is photographic, and this is photographer. And yet, that that's not how we say these words. But how's a learner to know? And then what is it we would say is sort of the way to say these words? How do we even get at that? We ask 2 questions in color vowel. The first one is, where's the stress? And the second one is, what color is it? So let's ask the first question. Where's the stress in photograph? Photograph. You can hear it if I hum it. Photograph. I can use my hand, photograph, to mark it. And we can hear that it's on the first syllable. You're going to do the second and third. Okay. So here I say, okay, fine. It's photograph, right? First syllable stress. Okay. What about the second word? Not photographic. Where's the stress? And here you can just open your mic and, tell me which syllable, or you can put it in the chat. Where's the stress? Yeah, quick correction. Thank you. Yeah, photographic, right? Photographic. And good. And so if you're a native speaker of English, it's almost like magic. Like, how did I know that it's on the third syllable? How is it that was I taught that? Or did I just pick that up? right? And how can we help our learners pick up on the various stress patterns of words? What about the third one? Photographer. I could deduce that. Photographer, photographic, photographer. No. Photographer, right? Photographer. And so that one has a second syllable stress. So the trick of trying to predict where stress is in English is not a game you're going to win. English doesn't work like that. English stress is largely unpredictable. And English stress is central to being understood. So it's this really strange conundrum. You have to know where it is in order to be understood, but there's nothing marked in the word to tell you where it is. It seems like a very exclusive club suddenly, doesn't it? Yeah. All right. The next question one was, where's the so second question is, what color is it? So what color, if you remember the color vowels, what color is photograph? Photograph. Can anyone remember? And Anna, I know you know the color vowels by now. So you can wait just 1 second because I think you know.
I've learned them already. It's rose boat.
Yeah, good. So you already have a little internalized. That's great. So there's photograph, photographic. We can ask the learners, what color is photographic? Photograph. We can use gestures to kind of isolate the vowel sound the way I'm doing. You can try that with me. Photographic. Always put it back in context in its own complete state, right? Photographic. You can hear that black sound, right? Black cat, photographic. Photographer, we move into olive sock, photographer. Okay, some of these images and phrases are a little more sticky, memorable, like black cat. But before long, this is the easy vocabulary of learners when they want to know how a word sounds. Is that white or is it silver? You know, those kinds of questions come up, and it's this very easy vernacular. Okay. In English, this is kind of a surprising one, and one that we need to remind our students about. Stressing the correct syllable in English is more important than producing each sound correctly. And depending on how your learner was educated in English and what learner beliefs they've picked up from the internet and from all kinds of things, they might come to the table really believing that each letter is a sound, when we know that's not the case with English. It's not a very phonetically spelled language. It's a very historically spelled language. So just reminding students that we can zoom in on the stress and kind of pin it down, and the rest of it will often fall into place as long as they get that stress in the right place to start with. So they'll start thinking in a kind of more efficient way. All right. What they're doing as they gather each word, they've got to be able to write it down somewhere. And we provide them, as you do, as the teacher, with the color vowel organizer. The color vowel organizer is the everyday workhorse. It's by their side in their notebook where they collect words so they can practice saying them outside of class. What does this look like? So if we take, for example, impatience, look in the gray day box halfway down the page. Impatience would go in the gray day box. What about novice? Remember novice? That student gets corrected. Oh, okay, I'm going to stick it down there in my olive box. He just jots it down. Okay, crowd goes over here in the brown cow box. Okay, what about, I don't know, I just gave you this mug over here. I see this meme all the time on the internet. English is weird. It can be understood through tough, thorough thought, though. Let's take all those TH words. Where does through go? Through, ooh. Anybody can answer that one. Anyone and everyone. There we go.
Blue moon.
Very good. Through, tough. 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 Yeah, a cup of mustard. Good. If somebody were to guess, you can start casting, you can try on different colors. That's just beautiful. If it were olive, it would be toff, right? If it were black, it would be taff, teff, tough. There's tough right there. Okay. Thought, let's see, through, tough, thorough. How about the word thorough? Thorough.
Rose boat.
So it'd be thorough. Yeah, thorough,
Thorough.
thorough. Yeah, notice how the
Oh,
lines touch.
oh, yeah, purple shirt.
Purple shirt, good, thorough. Yeah, I think, we think it's
Okay.
rose, but then when we really say it, it turns purple a lot of times. But some folks might use rose. It's not so far off. And we've organized the chart as well as this organizer so that similar sounds touch one another. So if you look down here, my next word will help me kind of with this idea. Think of the word thought. What color is thought? Thought. Thought. Olive sock. Yeah, thought could be olive, thought. And some of us, depending on where you're from and how you're raised, you might think of it as a different sound than olive, auburn, thought, thought. If I'm from New York City, thought. I thought so. I thought so. Okay. If you're from Ohio, thought. It's almost black. So we have a lot of variation down here. And you as a teacher are a speaker of English who speaks in your own way. And the chart allows you to do that. That's what I love about teaching with the chart, is there's not just one right way to speak, and there's not one better way to speak. It's the best is being understood. And from there, we can get into some of the tougher nuts of being accepted and accent discrimination. All of that is waiting way down, down the line. But after we get the basics, the basics are, how do I use this tool? My students love it. How can we further their learning with it? Okay, so there's thought. And then finally, though, is that nice rose sound right there, though. Okay, we can do the very same with these other words right here, those photograph, photographer. You see how the chart starts to fill up with words. And this would be, say, 1 week's worth of words, or maybe 1 lesson's worth of words. It depends on how long you teach and what kind of work you're doing. But this is not a pronunciation lesson. This would be, it could be pronunciation, but it might be a multi-skills class, or it might be a content-based course. It can be all kinds of language that come from a grammar class for that matter, because words are everywhere and your students need to know how to say them. And this is how they write that down. Okay. So every word of English, long, short, difficult, not difficult, slang, old fashioned, doesn't matter. If it's a word of English or used in English, it has a place on the color vowel chart. Okay. Stress isn't just for words, by the way. We've worked a lot and sort of touched on word-based stress, but we work with sentences as well. And I illustrate this in Blue Canoe. This is a long sentence with lots of syllables. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. That's even hard for me to say without pausing. So instead I do pause. In most speech we pause. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. Okay. We can mark this up. A fraction, now I know where the stress is, has a numerator, not a numerator or numerator, and a denominator, not a denominator or a denominator. Okay, so when we mark them, we can start helping students know what to focus in on, to kind of pin themselves again into this rhythm, and then the color vowels just light it up. A, oo, ah. Fraction, numerator, denominator. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. A, oo, ah. Notice I was able to deliver those same vowel sounds on the same beats every time and wrap all of the syllables into that rhythm. I can say it really quickly. It's the same thing. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. A, oo, ah. So there's this way that English works that we all know and picked up on as speakers of English. But it really helps if we're able to break that down and understand its workings so we can share that with students. When they know the secrets, they feel so much more confident. Okay, so those are the kinds of sentences that show up in Blue Canoe. And our AI and our artificial intelligence and our voice recognition gives them color vowel feedback, letting them know when they strayed too far from the vowel sound that's needed or the stress location. Okay. Great. I mentioned the brain a little bit. I'll just kind of give you a graphic that helps us wrap our minds around that. On the left side of your head, if you just kind of touch the left side above, right above and right behind your ear, is this area inside called Broca's area. And it's the part that's responsible for picking up all of the sounds of your first language, everything you were exposed to from even in utero all the way through sometime in adolescence when throughout your childhood, these little windows are closing and you're collecting sounds and the factory is getting done with its work. And by sometime in adolescence, the factory says, okay, we're done. We've collected all the sounds. We know how this works. We perceive them and we use them. And that's that. And so once this part, Broca's area, has become closed system, we have to use other parts of the brain if we want to work on speech. And this is true if you've ever looked into stroke recovery, any kind of medicalized brain trauma. They'll use these other parts of the brain. And we can do the same with second language teaching when it comes to pronunciation. Not because there's brain injury, but because it's a closed system. Okay, so we're kind of drawing on a lot of the research and real practice that's been done out there when we do things like use our hands and so forth. I'm going to share with you these questions that come up over and over in classrooms. I'm sure you have your own like this. The student walks up to you after class and says, they have like a sense of urgency. Teacher, what's the difference between sheep and sheep? I just can't hear it, or if it's ears and years, or you pick it, cemetery and, cemetery and symmetry. They're always coming up with these pairs, right? And it seems like for years I kept thinking, these are all some form of the same question, I feel. The words always change, but the nature of the question's the same, like a mission. And to me, it really was. It was almost like plucking a string, saying there's something they're not getting out of their instruction that leaves them with these troubling questions. And if there were a way to provide them with an answer that addresses all of these kinds of questions, that would be amazing. And so that's what we do. That's what we do. So we can take words like sheep and ship, and when they ask that question, we can go straight to the chart and say, well, what color is sheep? What color is ship? And when we listen to their answers, we'll now understand the nature of the problem. If you say, what color is ship? And they say, is it green? And you say, okay, there's the issue. We need to explore the difference between Notice I'm able to draw a line sort of crossing the boundary between green and silver, and I'm able to then change into a different position. And this is a continuum of just positioning of the jaw, the tongue, and the lips. In fact, it continues all the way down. Watch my mouse. Yeah. So the chart is organized the same way that the mouth is organized, and the way that the jaw drops while the tongue is doing different kinds of work to shape the vowel. Now, I won't get too deep or complex about it, but this is the kind of training that all teachers need. It's phonological awareness training or phonemic awareness training, so that we understand how we make sound in order to be able to teach students who need to make these sounds as non-native speakers. But the student's able to start the question, and the student's able to explore the question. Oh, ship is a silver word? What's the difference between green and silver? And you teach that chant to them. What's the difference between green and silver? And you say, okay, let's explore that together. And I teach you how to do that in our training courses, which I'll get to shortly, okay? Paper and pepper, same question. What's happening in both of these is they're hearing one sound, if you remember my little circles earlier, when there are two. So here they're hearing a, pepper, pepper, pepper. Is it pepper? Pepper. Is it paper or pepper? And it's both. It's kind of like all of those little visual tricks that we've seen on the internet. Is it a gold dress or a blue dress? Well, it's both, because they're creating an image for you, or a sound in this case, that has features of both different sounds in English. Pepper, pepper, okay, paper, pepper, okay, paper. So we teach you how to teach this distinction, and we also teach you how to wait for that question, so that you're actually answering their questions and not pre-teaching what we think of as, the pronunciation curriculum that students need. We teach you how to use a student-based curriculum, okay? In Blue Canoe and on our website and in all of our courses, we teach you and expose students to this idea of moving through the vowel continuum in the mouth. I'm turning and moving my arm in this way, even in my window, because I'm usually in a room with my chart, as you would be in your own classroom. But this is thoroughly, embodied, and I know exactly where silver is, where green is, where purple is, and so forth. And you will too. But these videos are here for you to share with your learners or to use for your own training. And those are in Blue Canoe as well. Okay, I will move along. So the kinesthetic piece of this hand that I'm using, I teach you a little bit more about why. The colors and images, we already know how easily uptakeable they are, very easily remembered. And we use rhythmic chants to reinforce how English behaves. What's the difference between this and that? That's a very classic rhythmic grouping there. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so one example of rhythmic chants. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my time with you, and I want to just let you know the kinds of things we do to support teachers. One is we provide a live class for the world twice a month. The next one is coming up not tomorrow, but next Thursday. It's the first and third Thursday of each month, called Pure Practice or Pure English Practice. And we'll be sending you some information about this after the webinar. But you and your learners are welcome to attend. There's no pressure. You're not called out. You're just welcomed. And I lead a 30-minute class where I use Color Vowel. I use all of the strategies, and we explore Blue Canoe a little bit. So that's a lot of fun. Teachers and students alike come, and some teachers even assign it as homework or as a field trip. So you'll see more information about that. I won't take time right now, but I'll send you a link to how Pure Practice works. But it's basically rhythmic work with color vowels. Okay. Also, some ways that you can remain connected with us. Know that today you have been to our free webinar. You're welcome to come again. Ana Lidia has come to several different events. It's not uncommon. I think there's, Ana, did you learn something new today or get a new idea or a way of thinking today?
Yes, there is always something new.
Yeah.
And maybe we had this information in another event, but I think this is the first time I have in mind that there are 16 sounds, 16 different sounds. The number for me is new.
Yeah. And I'll say, thank you for saying that, something new every time. You can look up the, English vowels, and you can come up with a lot of different answers for that question. But what's important with what we do is we explain why we've settled on 16 as the base number, and why it might be 15 or 14 for some people in the room, and then how we bridge into R controlled and L controlled and other controlled vowels, which again is a deeper issue, but you learn about it right away. Okay. How do you learn about it right away? In Pure Practice, but also in our free events Fridays at 5, where we get together on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Most of this is in reference to Eastern time, where both Jennifer and I live and work out of. So these are our free events for teachers. You're always welcome to come to those. But let me take a moment to talk about the bigger journey. And, if you're intrigued by what I've talked about today, this idea of providing learners with a touchstone for their own learning, this is what we do with the color vowel chart. And the journey for you is 4-tier. The first is where you already are. Just by being here, you are already in a kind of a community. You can formalize that by owning a copy of the Color Vowel Approach book that's available in our shop. And I'll show that to you in just a moment. When you purchase the Color Vowel Approach, either through one of our kits or through one of our courses, you receive access to our private community in Facebook. That's My Color Vowel Community. It's about, I think we have just under 600 members. We've grown that very slowly. This isn't like, I don't know, supercharged groups in Facebook that have 1 million members. We keep this small, very accountable. Everybody knows enough about Color Vowel to ask good questions and provide knowledgeable answers. And we're all in there together. So it's a wonderful community for questions of any kind. From there, though, and what I'd like to focus on today is level 1. If you're here, it's because you're interested, and I want you to know what we do. We provide a course called Color Vowel Basics, which I'll show you in just a moment. But the basics is the recorded content of the course that is level 1. Okay. To finish out that level 1 certificate, there's a second course where you receive the live training practicum with a coach. Okay, so we have live sessions for a month, 4 times, with a 5th one that is our sort of onboarding orientation session, total of 5 weeks, where you then practice the techniques that I've been using, how to refer to the chart, how to refer to it visually, how to talk less when you teach, how to have the students talk more when they're learning. Okay. Out of that, you receive your level 1 certificate. a digital badge, access to our digital library with all of those images so that you can use those in your teaching materials, okay? And your profile listed on our website. From there, we provide a range of level 2 workshops, including our core workshops, elective workshops that dig into really specific topics like vocabulary teaching, how to use readers theater, all kinds of fun, different topics there. And so a lot of our teachers will go into level 2, especially if they want to get certified to either become a trainer at level 3, or they are part of a school that's getting accredited by Color Vowel that wants to brand with Color Vowel to attract students. So lots of different options here, but everybody benefits from a level 1 training. Let me show you a bit more about that. Our basics training, once again, is self-paced. It is on demand. This is a $99 course. I'll be giving you links for that if Jennifer, I bet she has already. And you can buy that now and be, basic trained in 6 hours of video modules with quizzes that follow for your comprehension, okay? You receive a digital copy of the Color Vowel approach, and you also receive access to Blue Canoe's premium version. That's the student version. So right up front with the training we provide, whether Blue Canoe might be a tool for your students or not. And I say that because if you work with intermediate and advanced learners of English, it's for them. If you work with low literacy adults, Blue Canoe is not going to be the best tool for them yet. There will be a way to bridge into it though. And there are some free tools within it that you might find useful for your students in the free version. So we do give you some basic training in Blue Canoe in the basics course. Any questions coming up about basics? I see Elizabeth or Deborah. Some folks are talking about the Intercambio curriculum. Yes, Color Vowel is part of the Intercambio curriculum. They provide some introductory training there too. They then refer you to come to us for the basics training. So we love working with Intercambio. The practicum is where you really get to work either directly with me or with one of my master coaches, where they teach those five online sessions with 6 hours of practice. That's where you really do practice the techniques. You get feedback from the coach and that digital image kit that I mentioned. Okay, that's $266. In order to purchase this course on the right, you have to either take the basics now or buy them together. And so I'm going to stop share on this and just say that in your links that are being provided, let me just switch over here and provide you with a couple of links that will be helpful to you. Ooh, hold on, there we go. Take a look here. There we go. So in the chat over here, you see Color Vowel Basics. That's the $99 course. You can click on that link there to learn more about that course and to get a preview of it. You can even watch the first part of the first lesson, get a taste to decide, if you want to go in for that. I highly recommend it because it's going to give you everything you need. It'll answer the question about our controlled vowels and all of that. Okay. If you know that you're going to get fully trained with the live training, I would go for the second set of links, the basic and live practicum. Let me just show you what that looks like briefly. Okay. Over here, the first link took you to this Color Vowel Basics page. If you want to get instant access, you can take a look at that sort of preliminary free preview. And then it's a $99 opt-in to take the whole course, okay? If you look here though, at all courses, you'll see a number of different headers, and I would just look at the bundles here just to kind of simplify. This is where you can combine the on-demand program with the live training, sort of de una vez or all together. And they're bundled by dates. So if you look here, this is the August dates for August 6th to September 3rd. We have another group in September, another group in October, and so forth, November. Okay, so take a look down there. Again, if you're back to basics, you'll see there's the basics course, and you can go in and take a look at that one. Okay. I think that's what I wanted to mention there. I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to open up for questions at this time. Questions at this time. And this is where, by the way, you're welcome to ask a question like, I have a learner who has this difficulty. I mean, it can be that specific. It can also be big picture questions about the approach. And I want to thank you, by the way, for being here and being present.
Can I ask one question about the bundles? If you say couldn't do the second part of the practicum until like September, can you get the basic and do it ahead of time?
You sure can. In fact, I recommend that because it gives you time to take in that content, watch it again if you want. And then when you come for the live course, I'll be giving you specific assignments. Go watch that one, go watch this one. So it really helps you get the most out of it. Yes.
So you could buy the bundle for September, but you'd have instant access to the basic part.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for asking that. And similar,
Can I just add to that? Sorry.
Sure.
I was away for a week and my computer has decided I'm not supposed to log into anything anymore. But for that question, if you get basics, then later all you need to do is sign up for the practicum course on its own. You don't have to sign up for the bundle. But if you do want to sign up for the bundle, we give you a discount code so that you don't end up paying for basics twice. We only want you to have to pay once.
So Jennifer, let's walk through that question. Just actually looking here. In the case of Sue, would you recommend that she just buys basics now by itself? So she gets instant access to that. And then she'll be able to buy just the level 1 practicum.
Yeah, so click on the practicum course, Karen.
Okay.
And so there you can see those 4 classes that are coming up this fall. You've got the dates and times, and that's all you have to purchase, and it's $266.
But that would be after you buy the basics.
After you buy the basics, exactly. So if you go to the bundles and just pick on any one of those bundles, Karen, just click on it. So if you go down, you'll see that there are the 2 courses right there.
So in other words, Sue, if you know for a fact that you'll have kind of a gap, like you want to do this now and the other thing in September, I think what we're recommending is that you buy the basics by itself and then purchase the other course in addition. Okay. And
it's really either way. You end up paying the exact same amount, and it's just if you want to pay one now and then pay the other one later, or if you want to just pay it all together, you can do that. It's totally up to you.
Okay, so Jennifer, there's no delay on the basics if she buys it
No, I do believe she should be able to get straight into basics if she buys in the bundle. Yeah.
Great. There we go. That's the answer. The reason Jennifer and I are like looking at each other is that we've just opted into this new platform for our courses. So we're still learning kind of how these little babies work. But in any case, you see the prices add up the same way, right? $266 plus $99 is the same as you get with these bundles, the total of $365. Okay, great. Other questions? They might be bundle related, course related, or language related. Okay, so what we can expect after, oh, yes.
Okay, so basically I am a certified dyslexia tutor with a program called EBLI that's Sound to Print. So I'm familiar with all this. I use a vowel chart. I have tried to figure out all the color things before. You are ingenious on figuring out the turquoise and the wooden. I was like, she figured it out. I've been trying to figure this out for years. So anyway, and I just happened upon you advertised at the bottom of another thing that had been recommended to me.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh my gosh. But my question is, already having understood all of this, there was very little that you said today that I didn't already have consciousness of. Am I going to get a lot from basics, or is basics basically teaching that significant, the vowel chart and the vowels
Yeah, no, thanks for asking that, by the way. No, it's not teaching you so much as teaching you how to teach in a way that minimizes teacher talk. I think a lot of, how can I put it? When I listen, I go and observe classes often and have for years. And I've found this phenomenon that we English teachers, we fill the space with a lot of talk and we explain things a lot. And we wonder why our students are quieter than they should be. And we think, oh, well, they're shy. And while dyslexia, training will be great for understanding, how things work in terms of the phonemes, it doesn't prepare us, I think, very well for working with non-native English speakers, or actually with native speaker dyslexics, where we put it in their hands. I think often we sort of disabilize our students and think, I have to tell them the answer because they don't know the answer. And when we have the chart available, we're able to put it in their hands, literally. And by using these gestures, the dyslexic mind is able to start organizing the stream of speech in a new way that is not the way that we try in phonics. Phonics is a very left to right processing, letters to sound approach, whereas color vowel takes sound as the primary experience. So I teach you how not to write the word down first, how to spend time with the spoken word.
And that's the approach that I'm trained in. It's sound to print.
Great.
Based off McGinnis's work. So
yeah. And so you'll be able to make really valuable connections between what you've learned and what we're providing. But I would be very surprised if it were redundant. I think what we provide is a lens on working with non-native speakers, which not a lot of dyslexia training does. You can let me know if that's different for you. But we have unique perspectives of what second language learners bring to the table. Any thoughts? Does that sort of help answer your question?
Yeah, but that's good to know that it's not just training the sounds, that it goes beyond that, even in the basic training. So
yes, definitely. And you'll have from every lesson a very specific strategy and tool that you can go use with your students right away. Okay. Wonderful.
And you were saying that Blue Canoe was much better once they were literate in English. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I'll tell you a brief story. Since
My
we're
students are not literate in English.
Aha. Yeah, then you might download the free version of Blue Canoe with them. But again, that takes a certain amount of tech literacy. And it's not something I recommend off the bat. I'll just say that. What we do have is a game that is wonderful for emerging literacy. And that's the game that inspired the development of Blue Canoe itself. And that's called Color It Out. Jennifer's looking right there on, nope, I thought it was there. I know her desk pretty well, but she's been gone for a few days. Yeah. So Color It Out is a handheld card game. It is wonderful for early readers as young as age 5. I recommend it for age 7 and up. And then for adults who are learning to read, it is a kind of a game changer, I would say, no pun intended. And so here's Jennifer holding up, there we go, Rose Boat Going and Olive Sock Hospital. And then you match as we do in Uno or Go Fish or any number of other card games. We match and play a spoken turn. And so, creating that bridge between what you see and what you hear is what we do in that card game. And that's what I would recommend for your learners. Okay. You can, I love that card, Warm and Arm, both spelled ARM at the end, and yet they're different colors, right? Orange door warm and olive sock arm, right? Every card is its own little conversation piece. If you're a tutor, it's wonderful. I have 8 bananas, gray day 8, black cat bananas. Why? Because. So anyway, I'll give you I'll type a little link for you, colorvowel.com/shop, and you'll see in there a short video that goes with Color It Out if you're interested in that game. Okay, so yeah, the app would be for adults, typically adults or high schoolers with solid literacy who are working on the pronunciation mainly. Okay. Any other questions? I want to thank everybody for coming today. This is, for us, it's always the beginning of a dialogue. Jennifer is available all the time at jennifer@colorvowel.com. I'm Karen at colorvowel.com. If you like a timely response, Jennifer is better at that than I am. I try, but she's really good at getting back to you with all kinds of great information immediately. And that's why she's the business manager. But I am happy to stay in touch. I hope to see you at an upcoming session, and do follow up with any questions you have. Watch for our email, and we'll see you soon. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, Anna has a question,
Oh,
Karen.
Anna, sure.
Yeah, just a quick question. Is there an expiring date after doing the basics course for starting the practicum one?
There's not, I wouldn't say that we have people who have gone years since their basics training, and then we'll say, yes, do it again. But if you're talking about a gap of months, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening wherever you are. We hope to see you again soon, and watch for that email. We'll have a link to next Thursday's Pure English Practice event as well. Okay. Thanks all, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.